Hey, so in my last video, I was talking about self-love and how that, I think, affects your ability to manifest. And in this one, I wanted to switch over to the other big one that people seem to always be debating, which is, do you need to be in a high vibration or in a good mood or feeling happy or whatever in order to do all this stuff, this manifestation stuff? And that I can tell you, absolutely, the answer is no. You do not have to be happy or be in a high vibe where you're floating around everywhere, making everybody's day a little ray of sunshine in order to manifest. This is very simple. You have to believe and have an intention and a faith that divine intelligence will open up the path to you, for you, to that thing, and that's it. That's pretty much it. That's an extremely simplified explanation. As we all know, there is a ton of nuance that goes into all of this, which my last video about the self-concept thing talks about how I think, well, no, you technically do not have to have self-love or whatever. It does affect your ability to believe. With the vibration thing, if you're trying to manifest a specific thing, I can tell you from my own experience that I was not happy most of the time when I was achieving serious goals with my body. I was, in general, miserable a lot of the time when I was kicking ass with my business. And even this year, I would say, you know, aside from just generally starting to attack all of my beliefs and everything that has to do with, you know, sort of creating the whole rest of my life outside of these big goals, you know, I wasn't very happy this year. This was a difficult year. It started out pretty good, but, you know, once you get into the thick of it, I think you can experience a lot of negative emotions. And it's easy to sort of fall away from your focus. You know, this, like anything, changing your beliefs, changing your thought patterns, getting good at all of this is like exercising a muscle. And sometimes you kind of fall off and don't go to the gym for a few weeks or whatever. And so I had a lot of weeks like that this year where I just had some misery. And yet I still managed to, via changing my beliefs and strongly intending and having faith and all that shit, I still managed to manifest Matt, who is awesome and continues to be amazing. The relationship thing was like my big thing left that I wanted to have. Sorry, I can never get my hair right in these videos. But so, like, a lot of people denigrate Esther Hicks and all the other law of attraction stuff that talks about vibration. But I think that, you know, a lot of people just sort of hear a few things and make a lot of judgments and don't really stop to think about what these things are saying, what these teachers are trying to tell you. And the high vibration, feeling good, all that stuff is valid. It just isn't necessary for a specific manifestation most of the time, I think. I think that aiming to have a high vibration, whatever that means for you, or generally being happy and positive is as important, if not more important, than these specific goals where you focus and believe. Because when you walk around in a high vibration, I really don't like that phrase, but when you walk around from that mentality, your autopilot is creating everything in a much better way. You know, you can't deny that. If you can reflect on times where you've been happy and, you know, feeling good and positive about things, your whole world is different. So, you know, I think Esther Hicks and others in that niche, you know, the sort of law of attraction, feel good, think good things will happen niche, are trying to sort of appeal to the widest group of people, because that is, I think, the best advice for most people. You watching this video are probably smarter and more into this than the average person. You know, a lot of people just dabble. They hear about law of attraction or whatever, and they just kind of dabble in it. And really, they're not going to get deeply into examining and dismantling the beliefs that are creating the things they don't want in their life. So, you know, it's kind of like it's kind of an introduction. What will help the most people the biggest amount? And that, I think, is telling people to try to be happy and try to be positive and try to expect good things. That will go a long way for most people. But it is not necessary to be in a high vibration to accomplish huge things. I know this from personal experience. Look around at all the miserable, incredibly successful business people, politicians. You know, you can make big things happen from a miserable state of mind. There's a preponderance of evidence for that. You can find it everywhere. But all that being said, I think the ultimate goal here is to exist in a high vibration and to be happy. And the things, people, relationships, the outward stuff, the 3D stuff is not going to get you there. I think there was a study that they did maybe in the US, I'm not sure where it was, but they basically proved that once you make over $75,000, there's diminishing, improvement to your mental state for every dollar you make after that. It's basically like, yes, when you get your basic needs met, when you can stop being anxious and worried to some degree, it improves your life. But it's the same thing with all this manifestation stuff. You know, when you get the big things you want, they're only going to take you so far. And eventually you're going to have to reprogram everything that doesn't work that's running you mentally, if you want to get to that point where you can just kind of be in the moment and experience this sense of bliss. I made a video earlier this year, right when I started this channel, about this underlying state of bliss that is there. I experienced it for a long time earlier this year, like maybe a month, when I first started reading Neville Goddard, and it sort of filled in all the pieces that I didn't get from Wallace Wattles and Deepak and everybody else who I'd read over the years. I had this experience where I knew suddenly that like all of my beliefs were in question. You know, like I understood on a deep level that my entire experience here was created by my beliefs, and that my beliefs were simply things that I had chosen to believe. Period. End of story. If there are exceptions, they weren't relevant enough to affect what I'm saying. And so for a period of time, a lot of my beliefs weren't being thrown at me. It was like Christmas, and I don't know, it was just, I had a long period of peace where I wasn't having to really do a ton of work. And the sense of bliss that is present when you're just good with everything, it's overwhelming. It relieves the need for anything external, and it's just there. It's like you can't perceive it unless you thoroughly clean your lens. And sometimes there's a blessed period of time where the lens just gets really clear and you can see everything perfectly, and then you experience this bliss. But you can work towards that too by examining all these beliefs and becoming really aware of what's going on with you. I don't know, I think it's an ongoing, lifelong process. But that, I think, is the ultimate goal. Anybody who's experienced it, I don't think could argue that. Just a deep sense of peace and bliss and connectedness is the ultimate feeling. If you've ever had a shot of morphine, it's that sort of feeling, but in a non-druggy kind of way. So I don't know, I just wanted to put that out there today. I don't think there's any conflict between Esther Hicks. I don't think there's any, conflict between any of the more commercialized law of attraction people. Whether their motivation is money or not, who cares? Everybody's talking about the same thing. And so no, you do not need to be in a high vibration or be happy in order to manifest specific things. However, past a certain point, that I think becomes the goal. And you will achieve that when you begin to get rid of all the beliefs that are in front of your eyes, blocking you from seeing this sort of high vibe that's available to you all the time. So I hope that helps somebody. Have a great day.